Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Natalie, and if you haven't been here already, hit that subscribe button. What are you doing? What are you doing? Just subscribe. Hey, I've been talking about the Haitian and the Hispanic Latino deportations that are happening and how I felt like some voted against themselves. And one of the things that I mentioned was that, ooh, yeah, policies. Please share with us what policies. In order for me to explain the policy, I'm going to have to take you back in time. All right? I'm going to have to take you back in time to the pandemic. But before I do, there was another comment someone made about like that whole thing about the Haitians eating cats and dogs. How could a Haitian vote for Trump? And I had a Haitian, I'm going to put the comment here, but someone said, I'm Haitian and I voted for Trump. They don't care about what Trump has to say. They don't care about what he does. They just care about their investments. And when he opens up his loud mouth, their investments go down, and they wish he would just stop and let their investments go up. All they care about is the money. And I told you in my last video that we don't have compassion anymore. And by the way, if you think that you live in a democratic country, good luck. You live in a capitalist country. We are capitalists here. People are about their money, and that's why people voted for Trump. And that's why I could see why they voted for Trump. But in order for you to understand how that would benefit me or even benefit you, we gotta go back in time. We have to go back in time, because maybe then a lot of this will start to make sense for you, because I did a lot of research on this when we all had to stay at home. Remember when they closed us up in our homes and they said, don't go out. We need you to stay at home. But I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that word, but there's the virus going around and we need to be at home. I'm not here to say that virus wasn't real. I'm not here to call it fake or anything like that. Conspiracy theories, that's not what this is about. Because when you take a look and see how this got used to take your money and make people richer, you're going to be like, wow. And how it's being used even today, how it's about to be used again in the same way, you're going to say, wow. People don't care. Just like this Haitian said, he doesn't care. See, we're capitalists. We're not Democrats. If you're really Democrat, you probably care about other people. But if you're capitalist, you just care about your money, right? And that's what these big businesses are, right? Like they care about their money, supposedly. They have mission statements that say they care about people because they have to, but they care about their bottom line. And so we have moved into this space or grew up in this space, and a lot of people just care about their bottom line. If their bank account is growing, they don't care if you get deported. They don't care if the policies affect you, as long as they're not affected. And even to the point, if they are affected, if they can figure out how to make their bank account grow, they feel like it doesn't matter, right? That's what he said. He said, it doesn't matter. I don't care about his rhetoric. I don't care what he has to say. I just care if my money's growing in my account. And the only time I get upset with him is when he says something that tanks the market. Okay, why is that important? Stick with me, and I'm going to tell you why it's important, right? Because I tried to share this with people, but I'm still learning. So I'm going to share with you what I know. I'm not an expert. This is not financial advice. This is not me telling you that I know everything, but I'm just going to share with you what I do know, what I did learn. Let's go back, because I told you already I like to talk, right? This girl likes to talk. This chica over here loves to talk, because I love to research. And this is how I process things, by talking. Sometimes I'm talking out loud. They say that people that talk out loud talk to themselves and even answer themselves have really good intuition. How about that? So I'll take it any day. You could call me crazy. I'll call it intuition. All right, so let's go. So first thing I want to show you is, because I pulled up some information here, and we're going to go to, let's see. Okay, first thing I want to show you. So first thing I want you to understand here is that back in 2019, right, You're going to find this on YouTube. I'm going to see if I can open this up for you. They did a lot of simulations. So before the virus happened, there were a lot of simulations done. And by the way, there was a simulation done in 2010 for influenza, right? And then remember when everybody had to get the flu vaccine? There was this simulation, and I'm not here to say right, wrong, or indifferent. We got to do what we got to do to keep diseases down. Stay with me because you're going to see how this all leads up to wealth transfer. Then we had the US H&H exercise. And by the way, I used ChatGPT to do this because this would have taken me like months to go back and look. Sometimes ChatGPT can pull a little bit of incorrect information. If you find something that's incorrect, you can drop me a comment down below and let me know if you know something better. And like I said, this is not financial advice. This is just an exercise for you so that you can see how this is happening and why people voted for him, because they don't care. All they cared about, they didn't care about people getting deported. If I can have a Haitian comment here and tell me that they didn't care about his policies, they just cared about their bottom line, what does that say to you? Makes you wonder, right? Like when you're eating at dinner with people, with your family, like what they're thinking. Like they don't care if you get deported. That's some crazy shit. But anyway, so what are you going to do to protect yourself? You're going to come along with me to protect yourself. I think maybe some of you may have heard about this, some of you may have not, but I'm going to share it with you. And this is on YouTube because we're all on YouTube. And like I said in my last video, a lot of information is available, but we don't listen to it, right? We're so busy fighting with each other about Republican, Democrat, black and white, that we are lost in the sauce. Listen. Okay, so in 2000, you see this, that's what it was. This was a simulation they did in October of 2019. When was the pandemic again? Oh, it was in 2020. So I'm going to put the link below for you, but just so you can see for yourself, we're going to click this open. Bam, exercise. You can see here.
Hello everyone, I'm Anita Cicero, Deputy Director of the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, and today I will be your Master of Ceremonies for Event 201. On behalf of our center and our partners, the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to our audience here in New York, as well as our larger virtual audience participating online today. The goal of the Event 201 exercise is to illustrate the potential consequences of a pandemic and the kinds of societal and economic challenges it would pose. The scenario also highlights the very critical role that global business and public-private partnerships play in preparing for and responding to pandemics.
Okay, again, like I said, this was in 2019, so they did this pre-pandemic.
Today's scenario is going to simulate meetings of a multi-stakeholder group called the Pandemic Emergency Board. This board has been urgently convened by the World Economic Forum, and Johns Hopkins has been asked to moderate the board meetings and provide expertise during the board's deliberations.
Now this video is an hour long. We're not going to go through the whole thing, but let's see if I can advance.
What could be done to suppress transmission apart from the use of countermeasures. And so I think that's something that needs to be an active area of study. Learning where transmission is occurring would be helpful in order to implement measures that don't require medicines to suppress transmission. Maybe hospital settings, school settings are places where transmission could be occurring. With regards to the question of sharing this scarce resource, we do have some models that I think could be built upon. The PIP framework, the things that were done during H1N1 to share vaccines.
So this is where I think a collaboration between the international organizations like the World Health Organization and the private sector, which runs these supply chains for many purposes every day. Understand where the supplies are, make smart decisions about how to allocate them to the people who need them in the places that need them the most, and then work with the industry to move those supplies from where they are today to where they need to be.
On your point of transparency and data about where supplies are, where medicines are, where N95 masks are, we couldn't agree more. We've been unable to find that data, so I think it's an important need that you just surfaced. George?
Yes, I would support for the proposal to be centralized for coordinated effort, not just national, also internationally. At such a situation, that's very important.
This whole
Virus is the same around the world. These are different healthcare systems, different data collection, different surveillance, so.
As far as N95s, there's still N95s sitting in boxes that were never used. Hoarding of that was atrocious. And then there were knockoffs of N95s that really weren't truly impervious masks that were made and then distributed. So I think there's a need to have the providers in the discussion to see really what they're doing to treat the patients. How severe is the epidemic?
So just on severity, it's important for you all to know that our the estimate from our team and from other ministries of health is that the distinctions in case fatality rate represent distinctions in data collection, not that the disease is any different. It looks like the virus is the same around the world. These are different healthcare systems, different data collection, different surveillance. So overall, our all-in case fatality rate is somewhere in the order of 7% to 10%. It depends on where we are in the world. And in terms of where the disease is in the world, we see lots of blank spots, and we think that's partly or largely due to surveillance systems and the slowness in collecting this data in certain parts of the world. We expect that to come online quickly. Steve, and then Real, give it a chance. Go ahead, I think you have a chance.
Okay, sure. I mean, I think it's just in terms of the precise question being asked, it's clear that having everybody go with on their own is not going to be the most effective answer. So I absolutely agree with the comments that have been made that we need to have some kind of international mechanism for coordinating what it is that we would be doing, also for collecting information, also for understanding what the resources are.
international coordination, is that not what we saw during the pandemic?
As we've just heard, there is no existing vaccine that appears effective against the newly discovered CAPS virus. Governments, scientists, and companies around the world have become working intensively to develop one, but it's highly unlikely that a vaccine could be developed, tested, manufactured, and distributed in less than a year, and it's likely to take much longer. While there have been efforts to develop vaccines against SARS and MERS coronaviruses, none have been licensed. And given the distinctions in the CAPS virus, vaccines against those diseases would not be effective for CAPS. The antiviral drug Extranavir has demonstrated some efficacy against the CAPS virus. It reduces the severity of illness and saves lives in those who are infected, but does not prevent infection like a vaccine would. Extranavir is a generic drug primarily used to treat HIV. It is manufactured in 5 countries, including the United States and China. Approximately 1 million people take Extranavir every day for HIV. If all of those HIV patients could be switched to other antiretroviral drugs, we could potentially free up enough Extranavir to treat 26 million CAPS patients.
Now you can see for yourself, they're talking about switching, taking people off their drugs. There's a lot that goes on in this. You can watch it. It's a whole hour long. This is segment 1. There were multiple segments in this. You can probably click on and find the other segments. This is through the Johns Hopkins website on YouTube. So the reason I bring this up is because, but way back then, and I know you're probably thinking, oh, this is boring stuff. Boring, but not boring, because it's about to get very interesting, okay? So because of this, right, everyone, at the end of the day, it was an international thing. Everyone was told they couldn't leave their house internationally. And at the time, let me go here. So when this happened, we're going to move on to here. How many stimulus checks went out during and after the 2020 pandemic? So here you go. First round went out in March, April of 2020, 271 billion, 142 billion, 410 billion, 479 million checks, 167 million Americans eligible per round, 823 billion in direct payments. But how much did the debt increase due to these checks? The stimulus checks themselves were a large part of pandemic related spending. So out of that, the American people got only 16 to 17% of that. National debt at the end of 2019, pre-pandemic, was 22.7 trillion. End of fiscal year 2020, it was 26.9 trillion. And at the end of fiscal year of 2021, it was 28.4 trillion. Increase of 5.7 trillion over 2 years, of which about 823 billion was from the stimulus check. So less than 1/5. All right. Now I wanted to know, how much did inflation rise during this time? Because this is really important, right? Because inflation is our cost of living. And stay with me, because this is all going to make sense here to you very shortly. So in 2019, it was normal. Inflation was normal. 2020, oh, it went down, right? Pandemic hit, demands collapsed, so nobody was going out, right? So of course, it went down. And then in 2021, the stimulus checks, supply chain issues, inflation went up 4.7%. 2022, 9% in June, from between 8 and 9%. All these things went up in price. Started to go down in 23. 2024 was coming down a little bit. Remember, they were telling us that. And okay, here we are in 2025. Now, you can read this for yourself. I will actually put this in a PDF and put it in the description box for you. But you can see that all this extra spending, right, caused inflation, right? All this extra money. And the American people didn't really get most of it. Most of it went towards funding some other things, right? The PPP, the businesses, and things like that. Okay? So, there you go. Massive fiscal stimulus checks. PPP, unemployment, right? Because people couldn't go to work, so you had to fund unemployment, right? Increased demand, supply chain disruptions, not enough supply to meet demand. Energy price shocks, Russia-Ukraine war, labor market shifts, wage inflation. Many estimate stimulus checks directly contributed to 1 to 2 percentage points to inflation peaks. Now, I know this isn't making a lot of sense, so I was like, let me make this make sense, because now I sound like an economist, which I'm not, because I was just like, hey, what are all these numbers meaning, right? Cumulative inflation. At the end of 2020, we were at 1.2%, 6% in 2021, 14.5% in 2022, in 2023 was 18%, and by mid 2025 to today, it's between 20 to 21%. What does that mean for us? So this means that in 2025, it takes about $1.20 to buy what a dollar bought in 2019, right? But let's go back. Now we're going to go back a little bit further, because in 2008, we had a crash, right? There was a market crash. This is so crazy, guys. Wait for it. Wait for it. $100 today buys what 82 to 83 cents would have bought in 2019. But wait for it, because you're thinking, okay, yeah, the dollar's deflated. I get it. That's pre-pandemic. But why does it feel worse in some areas? Price increase, 45 to 50% on gasoline, 25 to 30% on food, 30 restaurant food went up 30 to 35%. Housing and rent, 30 to 50%, depending on where you live. Medical bills, 15 to 20% increase. Wages, 20% average nominal increase, but lag behind key costs. All right. Even though official inflation says 20% total, many core life expenses rose more, which is why it feels like the dollar lost even more than 17 to 18% in real life. Now, let's go back. It's time for a flashback. time for a flashback. Let's go back to 2008. At the end of 2008, let's start with $1. End of 2008, inflation was 3.6. And by the way, we didn't really recover from this lap from 2008, because I'm going to show you why. 10%, 20% in 2019, 27% in 2021, 39%, blah, blah, blah. Cumulative inflation from 2008 to today is 45 to 47%. The US dollar is worth about 53 to 55 cents in 2008 dollars. You heard that. So that means that the dollar has lost about 45 to 47% of its purchasing power since 2008. And we were already struggling back then, right? In 2008. I know I was. My house was foreclosed on. People were like short selling. It was just insanity in 2008 when everything crashed, right? Everything, the .com boom went bang. Okay, so now $100 in 2008 needs about $145 to $147 today to buy the same goods. That's average. It could be more. So $1 today buys 53 to 55 cents of what it would buy in 2008, which we talked about, right? We're going to look at the housing, the costs increase from 2008 to now. So you can really understand why you feel so poor. 70 to 90% increase on housing and rent, 80 to 100% increase on healthcare. College tuition went up 100% and plus. Food and grocery, 60 to 70%. 50 to 70% on gasoline. And wages are 55 to 65% nominal growth, barely keeping up pace. This explains why Americans feel poorer today than in 2008. Even if wages are higher, core life expenses grew faster than income. And I know this might be boring, but please stay with me. Please stay with me. US dollar lost about 45 to 47% of its value in that time. Okay, so we lost all this purchasing power, right? We're feeling poor, right? I also looked and compared how the US dollar is doing as opposed to other currencies, and the dollar seems to be holding up strong, but now we're in a trade war. If that drops, we lose more value. So it's like almost like you can spend more money overseas and get more overseas than you can here. Okay, let's keep going. That's why people are mad. So I could see why people are mad, right? Now, do you understand why so many people were like, yeah, we're going to vote for him because you know what? He's saying like he's going to stop the spending over there. We're paying so much more for goods in our own country and it's cheaper to buy overseas. And most of us are buying here. We're not buying overseas. We're not spending our money overseas. We're spending our money here in the United States. Oh, but it gets better. It gets better. Since you asked that question about what policy was it that I thought would help us, and I'm going to get there. But before I get there, let's talk about Jeff Bezos and Amazon. Oh yes, we have to go there. We have to talk about Jeff Bezos and Amazon. Trump's policies on investments that creates the opportunity zones. Their pro-business policies and tax incentives, deregulation, focusing on regulations areas like zoning, environmental restrictions, opportunity zones. Here's where it gets interesting, because crypto, he had a pro-crypto stance. Now, crypto is the next .com boom that not really anyone's talking about, because what you're hearing on the news is that crypto is bad, it's a bad investment. But what had happened is They planned on including cryptos, which they did. Some cryptos, not XRP. I don't think XRP ended up getting included, but like Bitcoin and all of that got included in the crypto strategic reserve. And there's a reason. There's a reason. I need to go back a little bit because I need you to understand how wealth transfer happened. Let's continue. Yes, Jeff Bezos only made $80,000, which is a lot of money for a lot of people. So I'm not going to say only. For the CEO of a company, he was only making 80,000, 80 to 88,000. So where in the world did Jeff Bezos get all his millions? Let's talk about it. Ooh, in August of 2020, during the pandemic, and before this, he stepped down, his net worth exceeded 200 billion. How did that happen? He makes $80,000 a year. How do I do that? Oh, by July 2021, when he stepped down, his net worth was 211 billion. Other compensation, primarily security. While his salary was low, Amazon did cover significant other compensations for Jeff Bezos, primarily for security arrangements. This has been reported to be in the range of 1.6 million annually in recent years, including in 2024 as executive chairman. Yeah, he has security detail that's costing $1.6 million. And then, post CEO compensation as executive chairman, Bezos continues to receive an annual salary of $81,000, along with the substantial security costs. Look. He had a modest salary. Right? Isn't that nice? So if you look up his salary, hey, he's only making 80,000. But guess what? Wealth and stock appreciation. When did that happen? After the pandemic. How did that happen? Those stimulus checks we all got, right? That everybody ran out and was like, hey, we're going to buy this. We're going to buy that. You are at home. You didn't have to go to the store. You didn't have to shop anywhere else but Amazon and get it delivered to your door. How is it that we had to stay at home, but Amazon delivery drivers continued to work? That's another story, but I digress. Let's keep going. Look, wealth from stock appreciation. Bezos' immense fortune comes almost entirely from his ownership of stake in Amazon. That's it. His fortune. Who gave him that fortune? Stimulus checks. We did, because we took the stimulus checks and we pumped it into Amazon. Pumped it into Amazon so much so that by 2021, he stepped down as CEO. And I don't know if that's why he stepped down, but he was able to step down as CEO. And he was worth, what was he worth? His net worth is 211 billion. But his salary is only 80,000. Are you starting to pick up what I'm laying down? Wealth transfer does not happen through your income. Period. The end. The people that voted for Trump, including this Haitian that commented, that's this capitalist Haitian that I'm not name calling, but I'm just saying, call it what it is. I call it a capitalist. You don't care about anybody. You don't care about anything. All you care about is your portfolio, the money in your account, right? I wonder what you'll do with all that money when you have no family, when no one's around you, after everybody's deported. Maybe you don't have to worry about it, so you don't care. I don't care. I don't give a damn. Who sang that? Sweet Mickey. I think that was Sweet Mickey. Sweet Mickey Nadeo. Okay, I digress. I had to say that. But anyway, so I don't care. I don't give a damn. That's the mentality. I don't care. I don't give a damn. And we're just gonna vote against our people because my portfolio looks good. So are you understanding where I said I could see where it could work out for me? I could vote for Trump for that reason. There's a reason. Who doesn't need money? Right now, our dollar that we used to spend back in 2008 is only worth like 50 cents. That dollar's only worth 50 cents, if it's worth that much. Right? That's just based on the inflation that's happened since 2008. And that's only, and I believe it's only because I'm not an economist, so somebody drop me a comment down below and let me know, because I've heard that the dollar is not even in other places where I listen, that this is just this is what we're told, but it's not, the dollar's probably not even worth like 2 cents. at this point, because if you go back further than 2008, how much has that dollar depreciated? Are you understanding now why we feel so poor? That this poverty, this sense of poverty that we're feeling has happened through the Democratic and the Republican parties, whatever you call it, through the reigns of the Democratic and the Republican parties. So when do we start caring about each other? And if you choose not to care, like my Haitian friend here, who says that he doesn't care or she doesn't care, that they don't care about what Trump has to say, they just care about their portfolio. Such lack of compassion. I don't know. Yeah, everybody cares about their portfolio till you get deported with it. Something happens and you're affected. And it's exactly that mentality. I only care what Trump says when he says something that decreases my portfolio. Who lives with you? You have a wife? You have kids? You have a husband? I don't know. Whew, not in my house. Anyway, I know. I digress. But it's just maddening because I really truly see this. Anyway, so with this, let's go back to my chat GPT, right? So with all those points, now, we're going to talk about, go back here. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. So now I want to talk about XRP and crypto, because now, back then it was the .com boom, and now we are in the crypto boom, for those of you who don't know it. So now, since Trump has become president in his second term, he's truly been pro-crypto, right? He's been pro-crypto, and I knew it before he got elected, and I watch a lot of crypto channels, and I knew that people were really wanting Trump to come in because the previous administration was not pro-crypto. And if you invested in crypto, you know that 4 years ago, when Biden came into office, like, things went on. There were a lot of lawsuits around crypto that stifled the market. So people were ready to see their gains in crypto. We thought that the .com boom, this whole Amazon wealth transfer, and it's not just Amazon. I picked Amazon just because it's one that I think everybody in the United States uses, which is how Jeff Bezos made his billions, because especially it worked out, didn't it? Watch that Economic Forum video, and then you'll understand further how this was prepared for and how these businesses made money, how the stimulus checks, everybody was so excited about these stimulus checks, right? But how those stimulus checks, you just took it and spent it. You didn't invest it in anything. You took it and you spent it, and Jeff Bezos took all those stimulus checks all the way home, all the way to the bank, to his bank. He took it all the way to his bank, right? Because they couldn't directly hand Jeff Bezos stimulus money, right? But they could give it to you to give it to him. And so now, in this next boom that's getting ready to happen right under your nose, by the time you realize what happened, it'll be 5 years from now for most of you. I looked up, let's do it together. How many people in the US invest in crypto? Because the thing about cryptocurrency, also, they say it's deregulated, but it's on a blockchain, which means that they can keep track of it. So we know how many people. We don't know who exactly, although that can be traced also, but we don't know who exactly. It's not by name, but we can tell. So around 55 million US adults are using crypto. This was released in 2025, in April, which is 21% of the adult population. Approximately 28% of American adults, or about 65 million people, own cryptocurrency in 2025. This is according to a Security.org report from January 2025, which also notes that this has nearly doubled since the end of 2021. Do you see? that the people who know. They're investing. So cryptos, they work like stock. You invest, the market goes up, the market goes down. You make money, you lose money. And since it's in its early stages, there's a lot of money to be made there. And so this is about to be the biggest wealth transfer that's going to happen right now, right under your nose. And the reason I bring this up, and you have to do your own research, don't take my word for it. I've been trying to tell people since 2020, been doing this research in 2020, and everything I just showed you, I've known since 2020. And I've known that this wealth transfer was coming. Right? So if I wanted to be the asshole, I could have voted for Trump because of just that, right? Because I knew his policies were going to be pro crypto. I have ethics, I have morals, I have standards that are mine. This has nothing to do with whether or not I like Trump or I don't like Trump. I just have standards. I have family. How are they going to be affected? I have neighbors. How are they going to be affected? See, we don't care. I have my Haitian friend here. Doesn't care. Doesn't give a damn. Just give him his money, right? And then when you have all that money and you're all by yourself sitting on a deserted island, maybe that's what some of you want. That's your business. But you're on a deserted island and you don't have anybody to enjoy the money with. What is the purpose of having all that if you don't have anyone to enjoy it with? And I'm not saying don't invest. I am saying invest. And what I'm trying to tell you guys is that the reason you have to research what the other candidate, even if it's not the one you're going to vote for, what they're going to do is because you need to know how to position yourself when they are doing what they said they're going to do. Like right now, how are you positioning yourself? Have all of you that I see here, I didn't even know that there were that many, because back in 2021, when I invested in crypto, there wasn't that many. When I started looking into crypto, there were not that many. So obviously more people know about it. In 2024, Tech Guide reported this figure stating it's up 15% from 2021. 14.3% of the US population owns Bitcoin. A study by River from May 2025 found that nearly 50 million Americans own Bitcoin, specifically making the US global leader in Bitcoin ownership. And they're telling you on the news, don't invest in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's bad, crypto's bad, crypto, don't do it. Who is investing in this right now? Let me tell you, all your banks most of your banks have invested in cryptocurrency right now. They've created ETFs, they're creating portfolio because they're getting ready to charge you to do this. Nobody charged me to invest in crypto. I'm not getting charged to make whatever little bit of investment. And the thing is that, yes, you have to do your homework. You have to do your homework, invest in good projects, just like in stocks. You have to understand what you're doing. This is not financial advice. This is just telling you that when you know that a political party or somebody's coming in, because we don't really have any control over that. And that's a whole other story, because don't get me started on electoral votes. But that's a whole other story. If you invest in the things that you know and do the things that you know are going to benefit you during that regime, let's say, right? This regime, this presidency, whatever you want to call it, that you can somewhat thrive. I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect. I'm still learning, right? But at least I'm willing to learn, because that's what they're doing. That's what 28%. Who are those 28%? Are you one of them? And I have a term for you, bull run. Go look that up. We are in the middle and actually at the tail end of a bull run where that wealth transfer is getting ready to happen right now. And all Donald Trump has to do is say one thing, and just that my Haitian friend on here just said, that he doesn't care. He just cares what Trump says with his mouth, that either puts his portfolio up or down. Something's about to get done or said that's going to pump this market. And the thing is that it's going to happen anyway because bull runs happen every 4 years. You need to do your research. I am not a financial advisor. I'm just telling you what I see and how I see this works. I'm not an economist. When something doesn't make sense to me, I start digging. Because the pandemic I was like, what is going on? And I started talking to people and everybody's like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. It's all a conspiracy. No, not everything is a conspiracy. I guess there are conspiracies. You have to sort through it and do your research and find out what's real and what's not. And I don't know. You'd have to do your research to see what these projects are. There are so many crypto projects out there. There are so many viable crypto projects out there. You couldn't possibly invest in all of them. All you got to do, it's all over YouTube, search crypto and see what comes up. Be careful who you're following right now, though, on YouTube, because there's a lot of charlatans out there. It's really easy to get your money taken, too. Right? There's always risk involved in investments, whether it's rental properties, whether it's crypto, there are always risks. So you have to understand your own risk tolerance. But guess what? Here's my thought. What's the risk? What's the greater risk? My dollar is depreciating. My dollar is depreciating. I don't know by next year or the year after if my dollar will be worth 20 cents. And I'm definitely not due for a 30% raise at work to cover that. Right? Because we all work. Jeff Bezos collects a paycheck. But he doesn't collect $1 million paycheck. How is he making his money? Through investments. So you have to at least know what they do. Right? You have to know what they're doing. Listen, if you think this is just Republicans doing this, the Democrats too. Do you think the Democrats in the Senate, they don't own crypto? You think go and look at all these senators that seem to have all this money. Where do you think they're getting their wealth from? It's not the paycheck. The President of the United States. You think Donald Trump is the President of the United States so that he can get a paycheck? I'm going to show you. Here. In addition to the base salary, the president receives several allowances and benefits, which significantly increase the overall compensation package. Expense allowance, $50,000 annually, non-taxable to help with expenses related to their duties. Travel account, $100,000 annually for official travel. Entertainment budget, $19,000 annually. When all these are combined, the total annual compensation for the president is around $569,000. And what's his entertainment? Oh, he gets annual salary is $400,000 for the president. A pension and other benefits after leaving office is currently around $230,000 per year for former presidents. But they're not making billions from becoming president. He's not making billions or millions from becoming president. During his previous term as president, Donald Trump pledged to not take the $400,000 annual presidential salary. He stated that he would take only $1 a year as he believed he was legally required to accept some remuneration. Reports from his previous administration indicates that he did in fact donate his quarterly salary to various government agencies and initiatives. For example, he donated his first quarter salary to the Department of Interior for the National Park Service and his second quarter salary to the Department of Education, which is ironic, right? Because now he's dismantling it. Go figure. Therefore, based on his past actions and statements, it is consistent with his past practice that he would not be taking the full presidential compensation. So he didn't take it. I thought I had heard that he had said that he wouldn't take it. And that's neither here nor there. Anyway, I digress. I was just interested to see if he really didn't take it. And he didn't. He said he wouldn't, and he didn't. So I guess he has kept his word all around and everything. But yeah, so the thing is that I would say, I don't know, I have some information that I can put together. I don't know. I might put it together if you guys are interested in a separate sheet, places that you can research. You can do your own research on YouTube. I would just tell you, be really careful. My first year was sketchy because you get excited, and right now it's sketchy because we are in a bull run, and you can look at, yes, it appears we are in a crypto bull run, or at least a strong bullish phase in 2025. Here's a breakdown of the key indicator reasons. Strong price action in major cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoin momentum. While Bitcoin dominance has been high, there's growing anticipation for altcoin season. So the altcoins are anything that's not Bitcoin, by the way. XRP, main action coins, altcoins are XRP, Solana, Cardano, and showing strong year-to-date gains and are considered poised for future growth. For example, XRP saw a 337% year-to-date change by May of 2025. Take a look and see if you made that in your stock portfolio. Now, that's not normal. It's because crypto is fairly young and it's very volatile. Very volatile. But I'm just telling you, I wanted to share this with you because when you think about why people voted for him, it's the same reason I got the comment from the Haitian here who didn't care about anything else but his portfolio. People do not care anything else but their money. And they say money's the root of all evil. It's not. It's people. It's this capitalist mentality that leads you to just care more about your money than the people. You need money to survive. We need to be able to pay our bills. We need to be able to help the ones next to us. My concern, or my sadness, comes from, like I said in my first video, is that we're taking this money to the detriment of those people around us, even our family members. Because you can't tell me you're Haitian and then you don't give a shit about Haitians being deported. Damn, that's rough. That's really rough to hear. I'm like, who's coming to dinner? Who's coming to dinner for the holidays? Oh, they won't be here because they'll be deported. Whatever policies the United States, whatever stance the US is taking for itself is a whole other issue. But you lived in a place where you had the right to vote on that issue. Hopefully you still have the right next time. I don't know. It's just crazy to me. This is all insane. But I'm going to put this together. I've made it make sense. If you guys have any questions, I will. If you want, you know what? I'm not going to put all this information together in a PDF and create a link and all of that if you guys aren't interested, right? So you know what? Maybe I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll put it in a PDF, but you're going to have to subscribe to my email list to get access to that PDF, because why not? Subscribe to that email list and I'll send you I'll put together all this information for you about the cost of living. I'll put all of this together in everything I went through today in a PDF for you. And then if you also would like the information that I have about cryptocurrency, I'll create another PDF, but drop me a comment and let me know. I'm not going to go ahead and put that together because, listen, I even tried to convince my family to look into this and people were like, oh, you're crazy. I don't know. But now with inflation, with me being able to show you that your dollar is worth like 50 cents as opposed to the dollar it was worth in 2008, that has to be another food for thought for you. What are you doing? Like, how are we going to survive? How are we going to survive this? How are we going to survive this? It has to be through investments. And people think that you have to invest like you have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest. No, you can start by investing like $5. Right? If you only had $5 to invest, let's say, that you could afford to invest, and I wouldn't invest anything that you can't afford to lose, but if, let's say, you decided $5 was what you could afford to lose and you invested that, and you gained $15, that's a good return on your investment, right? That's 200%. Where else can you go? The bank is giving you like not even less than 1/4% on your dollar for keeping it at the bank. You're losing money by keeping your money at the bank, people. I don't know. So we need to get in the reason for this video is so that I can show you that we need to get with the program and with the reality of where we live. We live in a capitalist country. It is what it is. You want to play democracy and play the game Republicans against Democrat and hate each other, white against black. You can do all that. But while you're doing all that, this Jeff Bezos, the likes of Jeff Bezos anyway, I just used him as an example. His portfolio is growing, and other people, 28% of Americans right now have looked into crypto, right? So it's time to do your homework and learn, like whatever it is. And I wouldn't say don't take all your eggs and put it in one basket, because he's also for real estate. He's also for small businesses. Do you know it takes, I think, a couple $100 to open up like your own business, to get an LLC and establish a business? You have to do the research because you're living in this capitalist country, so you have to play the game. Even if you didn't vote for him, you have to play the game. You have to understand what game you're playing, not the one that they're putting in your face on TV. The game that's on TV is a distraction. Democrat against Republican, that's a distraction. It's such a distraction. But also, what's not a distraction is the reality of the policies that they put in place. And so I still stand by the fact that, you know what, couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. If you did it and you're not affected, then lucky you. If you did it and you got affected, then lucky you, because we play stupid games, we get stupid prizes. Right? And for those of you who didn't play the game and didn't vote against him and are still affected, which is a lot of us, a lot of people are affected, right? Then it's time to do some things to take a look and see how those policies that are in place, how you're going to use them to better your life, right? Because nobody's coming to your door. They're not coming to your door to show you how to do it, but the information is there. All right. Love you guys. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. Some of you probably know a lot more about this than I do. I'm still trying to learn because I work a full-time job, make these videos, and trying to keep my head afloat, trying to stay afloat just like the next person, and make sure that, you know what, the people around me stay afloat too, because that's the kind of person I am. And karma's a bitch, but karma's a bitch. What else can I say? And maybe one day we won't be so capitalist that we don't care, that we don't give a shit, we don't care, we don't give a damn. Sweet Mickey, I don't give a damn. Like, what kind of moral stance is that I don't care, I don't give a damn mentality? Whew. Yeah, you're not invited for dinner. I'm sure you don't want to be, but it's fine. It's fine. Maybe I'm not invited for dinner either, and that's fine too. I'm good, and I'm sure you're good. But anyway, guys, I love you, and I hope everybody's doing well out there, keeping afloat, watching what's happening. It's really sad, and just do what you can. Do what you can to learn what you can so that you're staying afloat as these policies are coming, as they're putting these policies into place. Right? And all right, drop me a comment, let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one.